People like to believe they choose who stays in their life. They don't. They react. They drift. They tolerate. And by the time they realize what has attached itself to them, it has already learned how to feed. Most human damage is not dramatic. It is slow, reasonable, and polite. It arrives disguised as loyalty, concern, familiarity, or shared history. The most dangerous people rarely threaten you. They study you. They adapt to your patterns. They wait for your weak moments and call it timing. What you save determines what consumes you. Human beings are not guided by virtue. They are guided by advantage. Morality is often a language learned after desire has already chosen its direction. When people say they care, what they usually mean is that they care as long as it costs them nothing. When it begins to cost them something, the language changes. Rationalizations appear. Justifications multiply. Memory becomes selective. This is not cynicism. It is observation. Some people attach themselves to others not because of connection, but because of access. Access to stability. Access to resources. Access to protection. Access to direction. They don't want to become stronger. They want proximity to strength. And proximity, over time, becomes entitlement. These people are easy to miss because they never openly take. They position themselves so that you offer. They admire your discipline, but never develop their own. They praise your clarity, but remain confused. They speak about potential, but live in excuses. Around you, they feel temporarily elevated, and that elevation becomes addictive. When you're absent, they feel smaller. When you pull away, they feel threatened. They do not fear losing you emotionally. They fear losing what you stabilize for them. Saving such a person feels generous at first. You mistake dependence for loyalty. You mistake gratitude for respect. But dependence always turns into resentment because deep down they know they're standing on something they did not build. And people resent what reminds them of their own weakness. Another kind stays close not for support, but for information. They observe how you move, who listens to you, where your leverage lies. They ask questions framed as curiosity, but filed away as strategy. They mirror your language just enough to feel aligned, but never enough to be committed. They rarely disagree with you openly. Instead, they collect fragments. They repeat your thoughts to others with small alterations, just enough to make themselves look insightful and you look replaceable. When distance forms, you will notice your words returning to you from unfamiliar mouths. These people do not compete directly. They parasitize. They understand that influence can be siphoned without confrontation. They stay close until they believe they understand you, then slowly reposition themselves as an alternative. You won't feel betrayed. You'll feel duplicated. Then there are those who bond through weakness. They share vulnerabilities early, not to connect, but to create an unspoken contract. You know my flaws. I know yours. Now we are mutually exposed. They are careful to reveal just enough to seem honest, but not enough to be harmed. They listen closely when you speak about your doubts. They remember what makes you hesitate. Later, when pressure is applied, those doubts will resurface, not as attacks, but as concerns. They won't oppose you directly. They will suggest caution, delay, second-guessing. They will frame restraint as wisdom. Their power comes from proximity to your uncertainty. They survive by keeping others unsure of themselves, because clarity is dangerous to them. A person who knows what they want does not need emotional leverage. These individuals require you to remain slightly confused, slightly conflicted, slightly dependent on their perspective. Saving them means accepting a permanent fog around your decisions. Some people remain close because conflict energizes them. They don't want peace. They want reaction. Calm makes them irrelevant. Tension gives them purpose. They provoke gently, consistently, just enough to disrupt focus, but never enough to be blamed. They question your motives under the disguise of accountability. They challenge your choices in the name of balance. They frame their interference as honesty, but their timing is precise. They appear when momentum builds. They intervene when clarity sharpens. They destabilize right before outcomes form. They don't want you to fail. They want you distracted. This type rarely looks malicious. They are often intelligent, articulate, and self-aware enough to appear reasonable. But their inner economy runs on disruption. When things settle, they feel unnecessary. So they create friction to justify their presence. Saving them means allowing constant noise into your strategic thinking. There are also those who stay because they believe they are owed. Shared history becomes currency. Past support becomes leverage. They remind you subtly of who they were to you before you became who you are now. They measure your growth as a personal debt. They don't celebrate your evolution. They tolerate it, and tolerance slowly hardens into expectation. They expect access, influence, consideration, simply because they were there earlier. They confuse time spent with entitlement earned. When you assert boundaries, they interpret it as betrayal. When you move independently, they see abandonment. They will never say this directly. Instead, they express disappointment, distance, coldness. The punishment is emotional, not verbal. They believe proximity should be permanent. Saving them requires shrinking yourself to match an outdated version they prefer. And finally, there are those who align with you only while you are ascending. They admire strength in motion, not strength sustained. They orbit momentum. When growth slows, when consolidation begins, when silence replaces expansion, their interest fades. They don't sabotage, they disappear. Their loyalty is seasonal. Their presence is conditional. They are drawn to visibility, not substance. They confuse direction with success and abandon stability for novelty. To them, people are phases. Saving them is pointless. They were never meant to stay. The common thread among all these people is not malice. It is self-interest. Humans protect what benefits them. They rationalize what preserves their position. They withdraw from what threatens their comfort. This is not a flaw. It is a mechanism. The mistake is assuming that awareness alone changes behavior. It does not. People know exactly what they are doing far more often than they admit. They simply don't see a reason to stop. Power is not cruelty. Power is clarity without apology. You do not owe access to those who drain your direction. You do not owe explanation to those who benefit from misunderstanding you. You do not owe consistency to those who rely on your tolerance. Saving everyone is not virtue. It is negligence toward yourself. Observe who becomes uneasy when you grow quiet. Watch who resists your independence. Notice who benefits when you doubt yourself. Patterns reveal more than intentions ever will. Distance is not punishment. It is positioning. In the end, the most dangerous belief is that people stay because of who you are. Most stay because of what you allow. And what you allow teaches others how to treat you. When you stop saving the wrong people, something unsettling happens. You realize how many were never standing with you at all. What follows after that realization is not relief. It is silence. Not the peaceful, kind people talk about when they want comfort. The other kind. The kind that exposes how much noise was never external to begin with. When you remove those who fed on your attention, your tolerance, your direction, you are left alone with your own structure. Most people cannot endure this phase. They rush to refill the space. They mistake absence for loss. This is where the cycle usually repeats. Humans are uncomfortable with clean edges. They prefer blurred boundaries because blurred boundaries allow negotiation. When you become precise with who has access to you, many will interpret it as hostility. In reality, it is something far more threatening to them. It is finality. People are not disturbed by rejection as much as they're disturbed by irrelevance. Those who no longer save will attempt to re-enter in subtle ways. Not directly. Direct confrontation risks exposure. Instead, they test. A message framed as concern. A memory resurfaced casually. A favor asked small enough to feel harmless. They're not trying to reconnect. They're checking if the door still opens. If it opens once, it will open again. Understand this clearly. When someone loses access to you, they don't reflect on why. They calculate how. They reinterpret your distance in ways that preserve their self-image. You become cold, arrogant, changed, anything but intentional. Intentional distance is dangerous because it implies discernment, and discernment implies judgment. There are people who will forgive betrayal before they forgive being seen accurately. Another pattern emerges during this phase. Those who remain will reveal themselves differently. Some will grow quieter around you, not out of respect, but uncertainty. They no longer know how to position themselves. Your unpredictability increases because you're no longer reactive. You're no longer filling gaps for them. Others will become excessively agreeable, over-accommodating. They sense the shift and try to secure their place through compliance. This is not loyalty. It is fear of replacement. True alignment does not tighten when pressure rises. It stabilizes. You will notice that fewer people ask for your opinion, but those who do listen more carefully. Fewer people seek your approval, but those who stay act without needing it. The crowd thins, but the structure strengthens. This is the quiet mathematics of power. Power does not expand socially. It contracts strategically. It removes variables. It reduces exposure. It favors predictability over popularity. When Machiavelli spoke of strength, he did not mean aggression. He meant control over consequence. Saving the wrong people multiplies consequences you did not choose. There is another uncomfortable truth most avoid. Some people require you to remain accessible so they can feel moral. As long as you are available, forgiving, understanding, they can continue their behavior without confronting its cost. Your presence becomes their excuse. When you withdraw, they are forced to face themselves, and they will resent you for it. This resentment often masquerades as disappointment. They will say you changed. They will say you became distant. They will say you forgot where you came from. What they mean is that you stopped absorbing what they refuse to carry. No one likes the person who ends the arrangement silently. Silence offers no leverage. At this stage, you may be tempted to explain yourself, to clarify, to soften the impact. This impulse does not come from kindness. It comes from residual guilt programmed by years of overextension. You are rewarded for being available, punished for being selective. But explanations create negotiation. Negotiation recreates access. Those who deserve to remain will not require justification. Those who don't will use it as material. There is a specific danger in keeping people who only respect you when you're useful. Their respect is conditional, and conditions change. The moment your utility shifts, so does their allegiance. They will not betray you loudly. They will disengage quietly, taking with them whatever they extracted. You will feel it as a loss of momentum, not a loss of relationship. This is why psychological survival favors minimalism. Fewer attachments, fewer obligations, fewer emotional debts. Not because connection is weakness, but because unmanaged connection becomes liability. Every relationship is an exchange. Pretending otherwise does not make it pure. It makes it blind. When you stop saving people, you also stop needing to be seen as good. This is another identity most struggle to release. Being perceived as fair, generous, patient. These traits are only valuable when they serve your structure. When they become expectations, they are weapons used against you. Morality without leverage is decoration. This does not mean becoming cruel. Cruelty is reactive. It leaks intention. It reveals insecurity. The posture you're moving toward is colder than cruelty. It is indifference guided by observation. You learn to let people misunderstand you. You learn to let narratives form without correcting them. You learn that reputation among those without access is irrelevant. What matters is alignment among those who remain. And those who remain will not be many. They will not need constant reassurance. They will not drain clarity from your decisions. They will not require you to be smaller, louder, softer, or more patient than necessary. They will move independently, yet predictably. Their presence will feel stabilizing, not demanding. This is how you know, in the end, the most decisive act is not confrontation. It is selection. Most people are not removed from your life by conflict. They are removed by irrelevance once you stop accommodating them. And here is the final truth that reframes everything before it. You were never meant to save people. You were meant to choose who survives near you. What happens next is rarely discussed because it exposes a contradiction most people prefer to hide. Once you stop saving others, you become visible in a different way, not louder, not admired. Visible as a variable that no longer behaves predictably. People sense this before they understand it. Conversations shorten. Assumptions weaken. The familiar leverage others once had over you no longer works. This unsettles them. Humans are comforted by patterns they can manipulate. When your behavior becomes consistent but inaccessible, you are no longer easy to place. You respond without urgency. You listen without revealing. You act without announcing. This is when others begin projecting intentions onto you because they can no longer extract them directly. Projection is the mind's way of regaining control. Some will assume arrogance. Others will assume strategy. A few will assume threat. None of this requires your participation. Interpretation fills the space where access once existed. And the more silent you remain, the more elaborate those interpretations become. This is not a mistake. This is containment. At this stage, you will notice something precise and unsettling. The people who once needed you will now measure you. They will reference you indirectly. Test your reactions through others. Watch how you move when you think no one is watching. You have become a point of orientation rather than a source of support. Orientation is closer to power than support ever was. Another shift occurs internally. Without constant emotional negotiation, your thinking sharpens. Decisions take less time. You stop rehearsing conversations that never needed to happen. You stop anticipating reactions that no longer matter. Energy that was once spent managing others redirects itself into structure. This is when most people sabotage themselves. They mistake isolation for danger and rush to reattach. They confuse solitude with instability. They invite noise back in just to confirm they are still wanted. This reflex is ancient. Humans evolved to fear exclusion. But strategic exclusion is not abandonment. It is filtration. Not everyone deserves proximity to your process. You will feel pressure to explain your standards, to justify your selectiveness, to reassure others that they are still valued. This pressure does not come from external demand alone. It comes from an identity built around being needed. Being needed is addictive because it feels like relevance. But relevance earned through rescue is fragile. It disappears the moment you stop performing. There's a difference between being respected and being relied upon. Reliance breeds expectation. Respect tolerates distance. Those who respect you do not panic when you go quiet. They adjust. Those who relied on you feel destabilized. They probe. They provoke. They attempt to reinsert themselves through obligation, nostalgia, or urgency. None of this is accidental. It is behavioral persistence. When a source of stability is removed, the organism seeks replacement or restoration. This is why boundaries must be non-reactive. Emotional responses teach people where the edges are soft. Silence teaches them where they end. Over time, something colder but cleaner replaces the chaos. You begin to see people not as allies or threats, but as predictable systems. You observe how they behave when they want something, how they behave when they don't, how quickly values shift under pressure, how loyalty dissolves when incentives change. This is not bitterness. Bitterness requires disappointment. You have moved past expectation. You stop assuming depth where there is convenience. You stop attributing intention where there is habit. You stop mistaking familiarity for alignment. This alone removes most manipulation from your life. Manipulation depends on assumption. Observation dissolves it. A subtle confidence emerges here. Not confidence in dominance, but confidence in position. You no longer need to prove strength because you're no longer negotiating it. Your choices are quieter. Your refusals are final. Your approval is rare and therefore meaningless to pursue. People sense this and adjust accordingly. Some will retreat. Others will attempt admiration. A few will test boundaries directly, just to see if the old version of you still exists somewhere underneath. It doesn't. Not because you destroyed it, but because you outgrew the conditions that required it. Growth is not addition. It is subtraction without apology. Eventually, you understand the deeper implication of everything that came before. Saving people was never about them. It was about avoiding the discomfort of choosing. Choice carries responsibility. Rescue spreads it thin enough to feel harmless. But power does not tolerate diffusion. When you choose who remains near you, you accept the consequences of that choice fully. You no longer blame influence for outcomes. You no longer hide behind intention. You become accountable for your environment, your momentum, your trajectory. This is the point of no return. From here on, you'll be judged not by how much you give, but by how little you tolerate. Not by how many you help, but by how selectively you engage. This will make you less likable and more effective. Most will never understand the difference. And that is the final refinement. You do not lose people when you stop saving them. You discover who is only alive because you kept carrying them. What follows after discernment stabilizes is something colder than confidence. You stop explaining your absence. You stop correcting assumptions. You stop managing impressions. This is where real separation occurs. People who once relied on emotional access now rely on speculation. They watch from a distance and attempt to infer your intentions based on fragments. A delayed response becomes a message. A neutral tone becomes a warning. Your restraint is interpreted as calculation. They're not wrong. Power does not announce itself. It rearranges the environment so that others begin adjusting without being told to. When you withdraw unnecessary warmth, people reveal how much of their attachment depended on it. Some grow cautious. Some grow resentful. Some attempt proximity through admiration. All of them respond. This is how you know the shift is permanent. At this level, manipulation attempts change shape. They become quieter, more respectful on the surface, less emotional. People stop demanding access and start offering value. They become careful with words. They measure timing. They approach instead of assuming. Not because you asked for it, because your presence now carries consequence. You also begin noticing something unsettling about yourself. You feel less compelled to be understood. Misinterpretation no longer threatens your identity. In fact, it protects it. When people misunderstand you, they expose their own filters. You learn more from their projections than you ever did from their honesty. This creates asymmetry. Those who need clarity from you are below your position. Those who can operate without it are closer to alignment. You no longer chase resonance. You allow it to appear. If it doesn't, nothing breaks. This is the discipline most never develop. They confuse access with importance. They believe being seen is the same as being relevant. They expose themselves constantly, hoping visibility will secure their place. It doesn't. It weakens it. Scarcity shapes value. Silence shapes authority. By now, you understand that most people are not dangerous because they are malicious. They are dangerous because they are predictable. Predictable in self-interest. Predictable in avoidance. Predictable in how quickly loyalty bends when pressure is applied. You stop being offended by this. Offense requires expectation. You have replaced expectation with assessment. An assessment is mercilessly calm. You do not confront disloyalty. You note it. You do not argue with manipulation. You remove the incentive. You do not punish betrayal. You make it irrelevant. This is the highest form of control most will never witness directly. Only its effects. At this point, the environment around you feels thinner. Fewer voices, fewer opinions, fewer interruptions. This is not loneliness. This is signal clarity. Your thoughts extend further without collision. Your decisions carry through without resistance. You become harder to access, but easier to read for those who know how to observe. And now, the final layer reveals itself. Everything you have heard until now was not meant to comfort you. It was meant to refine your perception, to teach you where to place attention, not emotion, to show you that survival is not about being liked, but about being uncompromised. Most people will drift back into noise after this video ends. They will feel exposed for a moment, then distracted. That is the pattern. Discomfort followed by avoidance. A smaller number will stay alert. They will recognize that material like this is not entertainment. It is filtration. It separates those who seek reassurance from those who seek advantage. Those who want motivation from those who want clarity. If you're still here, it is not because you enjoyed this. It is because something in it recognized you. This channel does not grow through excitement. It grows through selection. Through those who return not for comfort, but for orientation. Not for answers, but for sharper questions. If you disappear after this, nothing is lost. If you remain, it will not be by accident. Power always knows who is paying attention. All right, lovely peoples, if you liked the video, please subscribe this channel. Thank you.